Oh dear God. Oh dear God. Refresh. Oh dear God. Mic check. 1 2 1 2. What's good? What's good? What's good, people? Man, you know what time it is. We have a new legal update, man. And you know, this summer we heard a lot about Drake dropping this red button. This red button, right? This summer and really all fall, we heard that there was a red button coming. And actually, after the lawsuit getting thrown out, I feel like UMG is turning the tables, bro. I feel like UMG is heavy at work trying to diminish this man Drake's legacy in every way, shape, or form. I've never seen so many negative stories come out about him. I've never seen so many goddamn negative stories come out about Drake in my life. Like the whole time of him being popular, this is crazy. That all these things are. It seems like every day there's a negative Drake story. Like every single day, it's a negative Drake story coming out on his birthday month too. Like they're ruining bro's month. Like he's supposed to be Mr. October, bro. He can't even breathe in October. Most recent, it's a lawsuit. It's a class action lawsuit against Spotify. But like more than Spotify, it seems like the lawsuit's attacking just Drake. There's this Rolling Stone article I read through it this morning, and I was like, wow, for a class action lawsuit against Spotify, they are really going hard at just Drake. Now, this lawsuit is centered around botting and how fake streams affect like the payout of all artists because, as it's mentioned in this lawsuit, like the way streaming revenue works is that it's all piled up into a pool, and then it's split up to the artist based off the amount of streams you had. So the bigger artists get a bigger piece of the pie, basically, of the streaming revenue that came in for Spotify that month or that quarter or whatever. And yeah, so we have a smaller artist, RBX. He's actually an artist signed to Death Row. He's Snoop Dogg's cousin, which also makes me think that maybe this could be Kendrick's camp. Kendrick's camp working to try to screw Drake over and try to like sully his legacy and try to kind of turn that narrative on the whole botting thing. What's poppin', Zaya? I'm talking about this UMG or the Spotify lawsuit, and Drake sued UMG and he took him to court and he really dug deep and like kind of went nasty and tried to pull up some nasty stuff about Kendrick and his peoples. So, man, I feel like this is UMG or Kendrick's camp like turning the tables back, but I feel like this is a way more calculated and direct way that they're approaching this, right? The way they're approaching this. I guess I'll read through this article and kind of like give you guys an idea. They actually have like a lot of good, and also this article has like information about Drake streaming that only his label would know. Like, how else would like a random artist from California know where Drake's streams are coming from or have this information on like whether or not they're being VPN'd or whatever? But like I said, I gotta read through this article so you guys can get an understanding of what I'm saying. Lawsuit against Spotify claims billions of Drake's streams were fraudulent. A new class action lawsuit accuses the streaming platform of turning a blind eye to mass scale fraudulent streaming, right? And so, this artist is basically making the claim that for a smaller artist like him, if you have a big artist like Drake faking streams, then it's affecting his bottom line because he's getting a smaller piece of the pie, and a lot of those streams from Drake are not even real. So, a new class action lawsuit against Spotify alleges the company has turned a blind eye to mass scale fraudulent streaming on its platform, and that one musician in particular has been the beneficiary of billions of fake streams, Drake. Like, so, okay, right off rip, this is already like a way more sophisticated approach at a smear campaign, right? Whereas Drake is kind of like suing Kendrick and UMG to kind of smear him back for Not Like Us. This is a way cleaner way to do it because they're suing Spotify for turning a blind eye to fraudulent streaming, but they're using Drake as the main example. So the suit was filed in California District Court on Sunday night with rapper and cousin of Snoop Dogg, RBX, named as the lead plaintiff. While the most eye-popping allegations in the suit related Drake's streaming numbers, there are no specific accusations of wrongdoing against the Nokia rapper. Only Spotify is named as a defendant. So they're not suing Drake. Like Drake's not getting brought in this as like a defendant, right? This is Spotify's a defendant. Drake is just what they're using to prove that Spotify is doing malpractice in business. They're saying Spotify knows this is going on with Drake and they're ignoring it because it benefits them. Every month under Spotify's watchful eye, this is quotes, every month under Spotify's watchful eye, billions of fraudulent streams are generated from fake, illegitimate, and or illegal methods like bots, the lawsuit states. Such mass-scale streaming fraud, it continues, causes massive financial harm to legitimate artists, songwriters, producers, and other rights holders. So, they're just saying that, man, like I said earlier, the way streaming revenue works is that it's a big pie. They tally up all the streams acquired by Spotify and they divide them up against the artist based off the percentage of streams you had. So, yes, it is taking food out of other people's mouth when you are faking streams and you're not using your legitimate numbers because you're getting a bigger piece of the pie. Streaming royalties are paid out through a stream share model where subscriptions and ad dollars are put into a giant pool with money divided up based on artist's share of the total streams. I basically just said that. And the reason why a artist would be suing Spotify and not a particular artist for faking their streams is because Spotify, like, it should be aware of this. Like, it has all the data. It should know. It should see that. But it really benefits them to have those big headlines for people like Drake or, some of the bigger label artists to be, like, doing crazy stream numbers on their platform. And Spotify really benefits from this the most. Apple Music too, but mainly Spotify. They benefit from having, like, those big streaming number posts. Like, they made that popular. They made their streaming numbers popular. They made their monthly listeners, like, a talking point in the music industry. While the lawsuit suggests that the use of bots is widespread on Spotify, the only example it cites pertains to Drake. It claims voluminous information, which Spotify knows or should know, proves that substantial, non-trivial percentage of Drake's approximately 37 billion streams were inauthentic and appeared to be the work of a sprawling network of bot accounts. So they're just saying a large percentage of Drake's 37 billion streams are fake, and they're suing Spotify because they should know. Like, they should be well aware of this information, right? You have the data, you know where they're coming from. But for me, the interesting thing about this article is this is one of the first times that we're really getting a deep look into how bots are, like, actually worked and actually used to be made look legitimate. So, like, through all these lawsuits, we're kind of getting, like, a really close look on how the music industry is, like, manipulating numbers these days, and, like, the new payola, I guess. This allegedly fraudulent activity took place between January 22nd and September 25th. I think it's, like, if you're crafting a lawsuit, I think it's good that they're focusing on this, like, small sample size of time, like this only 3-year period where they can just focus on that and really key in and, like, get to the bottom of it. And also, I think this is where these last 3 years is when Drake has been at his least popular, right? So if you're somebody's trying to attack Drake, it's like, let's focus on these times where he wasn't getting all this traction, but his numbers still saying that he was. This allegedly according to the complainant, it claims an examination of Drake's streams revealed abnormal VPN usage and had obscured the location of the bot's accounts streaming Drake's songs. For instance, the lawsuit claims that over a 4-day period in 2024, at least 250,000 streams of his song No Face originated in Turkey, but were falsely geo-mapped through the coordinated use of VPNs to the United Kingdom in an attempt to obscure their origins. So, like, I guess like one of these things about bots is like you obviously outsource them to smaller countries, where labor is cheaper, people are willing to do things for less money. But like, you know, with the data, if you see like, okay, there's all these streams coming from Turkey, like Drake doesn't have that many people listening to him in Turkey, it's gonna look weird to anybody. So what these bot companies are doing is they're using VPNs to reroute their location to different places across the world that would make more sense for Drake to have big streaming numbers. The lawsuit also alleges that a large percentage of the accounts streaming Drake's music were geographically centered around areas whose population could not support such a high volume of streams. No exact places or numbers were given, though the suit claimed that some streams reportedly originated in areas with 0 residential addresses. So, I mean, those are bot farms. Those are like industrial places where people are not even living, yet Drake's like acquiring these large amounts of streams from these areas. Like, it doesn't make sense. And I've seen videos of like different types of bots, bot farm facilities where they just have a bunch of computers and phones like streaming like videos or like liking posts or like whatever. You can buy bots for pretty much whatever. And yeah, it's just interesting to see like it all being played out in court of how like how the companies should be able to track these things and do track these things. The lawsuit also cites significant and irregular uptick months for Drake songs long after they've been released, as well as slower and less dramatic decay rates for Drake's music compared to his contemporaries. Decay rate refers to a typical streaming pattern where plays of an album or song naturally dwindle in the weeks and months after a release. That is another way you can always like, so like I shoot music videos, right? And I used to always, I've never brought bots for my artists or my videos, but like I know people who do. And there's like a very, 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 very easy way you can tell. And it's like, okay, does this song shoot up like in the first couple of days? Do the numbers go crazy and then taper off massively? Or do they shoot up? Do they have big jumps over time, like random times? And yeah, there should be a natural downtick to like how often people listen to a song. Like that's just how it works. You guys remember Not Like Us? Like after a while, we were just sick of the song. Like we just didn't want to listen to the song anymore. The lawsuit further claims that the number of streams of Drake's music attributed to individual accounts is staggering and irregular. So basically, the number of Drake streams coming from one account is crazy high and not normal. With a massive amount of accounts listening to Drake's music, doing so 23 hours a day. That means most of the people listening, most of the accounts on Spotify that is playing Drake's music is listening to the song for 23 hours a day. All right, I love rappers. I love a lot of different rappers. I loved Drake at one point. I've never listened to Drake for 23 hours in one day. Less than 2% of these users, the lawsuit goes on to claim, account for roughly 15% of Drake's streams, and about 9% of Drake's streams are attributable to less than 1% of these users. So that means 1% of the users of Drake's 37 billion streams. 1% of users, of people, of his, the monthly listeners, 1% of those monthly listeners are listening to 9% of his music. That's a lot. When we talk about 37 billion streams, that's a lot of streams. 1% of 37 billion is a lot. And 9% of 37 billion is exponentially more. As a result, the complainant claims Drake's music accumulated far higher total streams compared to other highly streamed artists, even though these artists had far more users than Drake. So it's basically saying there's more accounts are listening to these other artists, but Drake is getting more streams. That's because these bots are listening to his music 23 hours a day. So obviously it's going to equal more streams, even though you have less people listening, because any normal person, me and you, the people watching this, like you're not going to listen to an artist for 23 hours in one day. That just doesn't make sense. The lawsuit does not state how the plaintiffs or their lawyers obtain this data. That's why I think it's UMG. Because how do you get this information? Like, how do you get this in-depth information of Drake's streams and where they're coming from? Unless you're either a Spotify insider / whistleblower, or you're working for UMG and you have access to this data and you work in cahoots with Spotify. Like, you have to obtain this information through inside routes. And, you know, we're in a war right now between Kendrick's camp and Drake's camp and UMG. Like, it's easy for, you know, this lawsuit isn't against UMG, it's against Spotify. So UMG, in attempts to hurt Drake, I'm sure they would let this information go. And, like, they're not going to win this lawsuit against Spotify. Like, there's no way. There's no way they're going to win this lawsuit against Spotify, and it's not going to do anything. And they're only suing them for, like, $5 million, I think. This, nor does it shed any light on how the analysis of Drake's streaming numbers was conducted. These allegedly fraudulent streams generated significant revenues for Drake and his company, Frozen Moments, at the expense of other artists, the lawsuit claims. But it also states that Spotify deliberately turns a blind eye to fraudulent streaming for its own benefit. While Spotify has taken steps in recent years to combat and tamp down streaming fraud, this lawsuit casts doubt on the efficiency of the measures and Spotify's own incentives to stop fraud. It suggests that Spotify is particularly vulnerable to bots on the platform's ad-supported free tier because MyRad accounts can be generated without handing over a credit card number. By allegedly allowing bots to run rampant, Spotify can present high stream and user activity numbers to potential advertisers, the lawsuit alleges. Yeah, that's true. Like, I use Spotify for free, and there's if you get on playlists, like I have playlists. I have a Future playlist, I have a Kendrick playlist, and even though I don't pay for Spotify, I can like pick the songs I want to listen to, and I can listen to the artist that I want to listen to on a daily basis. So, yeah, I don't have to give any credit card information, so I could see how bots could like easily make a Drake playlist and just like run his songs all day. Put 100 Drake songs on a playlist and just like run the bots nonstop. For Spotify, more users and more music streams means more advertising dollars. So as long as the true origin of the streams remains hidden, the lawsuit states, Spotify also loses money in the form of royalty payouts whenever fraudulent streaming occurs. That's also true. Artists across the streaming industry, but all the money's coming from advertisers. Like, advertisers are paying Spotify per listen. Like, I don't know like how much you guys are like. So my YouTube account, for example, my YouTube account is monetized, and I get paid every time YouTube shows you guys an ad, right? Every time you guys see an ad, whether you watch it fully or you skip through it, either or, I get percentage of what YouTube gets. And what YouTube does is it takes, you know, I've also paid for ads by YouTube. Like, I paid for videos to be, like, my video to be the ad that you guys see on a YouTube ad, right? And the way that works is you pay, like, whatever they say, maybe 60 cents per view or whatever, or like 6 cents per view, right? And every view your video gets, you pay YouTube, and it takes it out of your account or whatever. Or you can set, like, I want to pay $100. I want to run this ad for $100 over a week. And then YouTube divvies that money up to the videos that it's playing your ad on, right? I'm sure Spotify works the same. If any of you guys use ad-free Spotify, you know, or not ad-free, the Spotify with the ads, then you would know it just plays a random ad for you every like 6 songs or something. And if you have a Spotify account, then you're, you know, that $10 or $12 that you're paying a month, that gets divvied up amongst artists based on how many streams they get. Artists across the streaming industry need accurate reporting of streams and effective fraud detection to ensure fair compensation. When streams are artificially inflated on a large scale, as my client's lawsuit alleges, has happened with respect to streams of Drake's music, it affects the income of countless songwriters, performers, and producers. Mark Pifico, one of the lawyers with the Baron and Bud, who filed the lawsuit on behalf of RBX, tells Rolling Stone. So, yeah, I mean, obviously when you're an artist and you're buying bots, like if you're Drake, right, and you're buying bots, that's costing you money, right? And it's probably going to be more money than you're getting from like the Spotify revenue. But like for artists like Drake, he doesn't even care about Spotify revenue. I mean, he cares about advances from UMG. He cares about that one big check he gets from his label, and you're gonna get a bigger check if you have better numbers. You know what I mean? You're gonna have a better brand association. You're gonna get more opportunities if you have bigger numbers. You're gonna get more endorsement deals if you have bigger numbers. So for artists like Drake, it's a no-brainer. Like, yeah, I'll spend 10 grand on a million streams because I'm gonna get 10 million from Nike, or I'm gonna get 10 million from, or 100 million from Stake, because I'm perceived as the biggest artist in the world. Does that make sense? Now, for the smaller artists like this guy, RBX, he's probably reliant on that stream revenue. Like, that's probably one of his main sources of income. So, of course, he's gonna want to, put in a lawsuit. I don't think that that's what this is. I think this is a strategic attack on Drake from UMG and or Kendrick's team, one or the other, to just hurt his legacy. Because no matter which way you slice it, it seems like this lawsuit is more directly targeted at harming Drake than Spotify. Like, we just read 5 paragraphs, and this is the first paragraph that's talking about Spotify's wrongdoing. The rest was just like breaking down how Drake bots. The new lawsuit and claims regarding Drake's music notably come just weeks after a judge tossed out Drake's lawsuit against UMG. And that's another thing, like the timing of this. Ever since the lawsuit got dropped against Drake, there's just been a flood of negative Drake stories. You see Fox using Drake as a goddamn meme when the Dodgers won the Super Bowl. You see like girls coming out with interviews talking about Drake. You see spot and information coming out. Like, this is not coincidence, bro. And this story is getting picked up by like every major news corporation. Like, this is on Rolling Stone, MSN. Like, I've seen this story on a bunch of different platforms, and that's not coincidence. Like, that doesn't happen. That was stuff that UMG used to suppress for Drake. And I think we're gonna see this thing get messy between Drake and UMG over the next couple of weeks or months, especially with Drake doubling down, and putting in an appeal, which contains its own allegations of streaming fraud. Though technically a defamation case, Drake accused his own record label of UMG of artificially inflating the popularity of Kendrick Lamar's diss track, Not Like Us, marking arguably the most high-profile allegation of streaming fraud to date. UMG denied all of Drake's allegations and the streaming fraud claims specifically, writing in a March legal filing, there's no evidence of any such stream manipulation. And yeah, like I said at the beginning of this stream, this is just like a way cleaner attempt at sullying Drake's name. I always felt like Drake's lawsuit was just like an attempt to shit on Kendrick and UMG, and like it's a different battle because he lost the music battle. It's just a different way for him to attack them. But this way, like, if this is UMG or Kendrick's doing, this is just a way more strategic and cleaner way of doing it, because Drake sued UMG for defamation when he should have just sued Kendrick for defamation. And this lawsuit is suing Spotify for what he's really trying to expose, which is the manipulation of streams, right? That is the thing that can damage Drake's, like, Drake doesn't have much left going for him, right? The thing that he does have going for him, though, is that he's still the #1 artist in hip-hop. Like, he's still getting the most plays in hip-hop. And I'm going to be interested to see how his streams look moving forward after this lawsuit. Because even if, like, you don't, like, because they're not going to win this lawsuit, right? And nothing's going to come out from it, I don't think. But even if you just, like, make him stop doing those, like, botting for a while, and we get to see a huge dip in Drake's numbers, and all of a sudden he's not like the #1 stream artist and this, that, and the third, then we're gonna see like, oh shit, Drake really was the one botting. And I always thought that from the beginning when Drake signed that Apple deal, like the $20 million Apple Music deal, like, yo, you don't think they're not gonna make sure he's the #1 streamed artist after giving him 20 mil? Like, come on. Streaming fraud has been a topic of discussion in the industry for years. And listen, payola in the rap game is never gonna go away. They're always gonna find ways to manipulate numbers. It's like pro wrestling, bro, and especially in hip hop, like, perception is reality. So as long as you're perceived as the #1 artist, you're likely gonna, be the #1 artist. And that's why this is such a damaging attack to Drake. Like, all that other stuff doesn't matter. If he keeps doing numbers and he keeps like being the biggest streamed artist, nothing else matters. But if you take that from him, bro, it's gonna be a fast and quick decline. Streaming fraud has been a topic of discussion in the industry for years, while pinpointing just how rampant it is and calculate. Man, that's pretty much it, bro. The rest of this article is just talking about like other deep industry stuff. But yeah, man, like I don't know, we're living in crazy times. Like, I mean, I guess the old payola where you used to pay like radio to spin your records and stuff, like that was a way smoother way to manipulate the perception of your artists. And like you buy your own records, like that's weird. Like buying your own records is like maybe a little weirder than streaming, because like now you just hold it on to mad CDs. Maybe you give them out to your friends and family, you feel me, like give them out to people you care about. But you know, the streaming is way more damaging because it's become such a big talking point. Like the differences back then, like album sales wasn't that big of a talking point, because they could make an artist be perceived to be big without having big numbers. Like, you know what I mean? It was just like appearances, like where do they appear, like where are they? But now, like I feel like the numbers, especially streaming numbers, are such a big part of how big your artist is perceived to be. So like this botting thing is a huge tool. Everyone's using it. You see Young Thug coming out talking about how, you know, he brought Gunna the #1 because of perception. Like perception is reality, especially in hip hop. Like especially in hip hop and pro wrestling, perception is reality. And this is indubitably an attack by either Kendrick's camp or UMG to take a hit at Drake's perception. And they just been chipping away at it, man, ever since this beef started, or probably ever since negotiations started. UMG's been like trying to chip away at Drake's legacy. And you know, that's what happens when you sign a deal with the devil. When you dance with the devil, man, it never ends up good. You know what I mean? When you play those industry games, and when you're so willing to use the system in your favor, like what do you expect to happen at the end when you get too full of yourself and you know you start feeling yourself and you start demanding too much? What do you think what type of you thought you were exempt from the tactics that you used against others? You thought that was only one-sided? And we're seeing it play out now. Like we're seeing it play out right in front of us, man. And we live in a great time that we have like access to this information. I'm going to put the link to this article because it's a goddamn Rolling Stone article, but it's behind a paywall. So I have this link to this article. I guess I'll drop it in the description, of course, and I'll drop it in the comments now. You guys want to go read it? For the people that are watching with me right now, if you guys want to read that article yourself, I just dropped it in the comments, and I will obviously put it in the description. There's a bunch of stories. It's on like a bunch of major platforms, news platforms. But like, I mean, this is real interesting. The business of hip hop and like, you know, like the way these artists are manipulating it and how they're doing it. Like having these big, large bot farms in these foreign countries. And like, you know, when you're a big artist like Drake or Kendrick or like a big label artist, no matter what, like you're gonna have real numbers, and that's gonna help your algorithm. Like these are just like boosting it to make sure that you stay #1 or just make sure you're not falling off, right? I'm not saying that there's not a big demand for these guys' music, but you know, these artists are definitely using bots and streams to like, you know, as a tool. And I don't know, maybe that's just the era we live in, and like you have to accept using that to some shape or form. Like I've been faced with the same thing as being an up and coming content creator. Like what tools can I use to like boost myself through the algorithm or whatever? But as of right now, as you can see, if you look at my account, you can see I'm not using bots. Right now I'm just mastering my craft and trying to like, you know, make good content. And hopefully once we catch some traction, then I can use some bots too. Like I'm not gonna lie, like I'm gonna use some bots as soon as it makes sense for me to bot. I'm botting, bro. Why not? Why not bot? You might as well bot. Drake's doing it. What would Drake do? What would Drizzy do? Drizzy gonna bot? I'm a bot. Man, fuck it. Kendrick gonna bot? I'm a bot. It's just, and honestly, I think it's just part of the game, right? It's just part of the game. But these guys have like, you know, made it to the top of the game and mastered their craft, and they're at a point where they're just trying to stay cemented in their spot. But I think the other interesting aspect of this is like UMG's retaliation against Drake. I think it's a clear-cut retaliation. There's just too many stories coming out about Drake. There was never a time. Drake's been on top of the game for 15 years. There was never once a time, other than the only other time I would say Drake had this much negative press was like the early Take Care era. Like if you guys are old enough, you'll remember like the early one of the first memes on the internet was like the Drake is soft memes, like the Drake the type of guy memes. You guys remember those the Drake the type of guy memes? Let me see if I can pull some of those up. Those were funny, bro. Drake the type of guy meme. I spelled meme wrong. What the hell? Bro, these Drake the type of guy memes were crazy. These Drake the type of guy memes were nuts, bro. It says Drake the type of guy to say, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs after being shot 42 times. Yo, Drake the type of guy to say, uh-oh, SpaghettiOs after being shot 42 times. Drake the type of guy to say, let me slide right past you. Drake the type of guy to say, let me slide right past you. Yo. Drake the type of motherfucker to sneak like snore me. Snore me. Yo. Drake the type of guy to say, use the magic word after you ask him for something. Drake the type of guy to have spirals in his eyes after he gets dizzy. Yo, but yeah, it's been this long since Drake. And some of these are newer. Like I recognize these pictures. Like the Drake type of guy meme kind of like came back into style. But if you guys remember like the Ralph from Ed, Edd n Eddy meme of Drake being sad, like standing in the window. Drake meme Ralph. You've seen this meme before. Drake standing in window meme. Oh, I can't find them, but you guys can find them on your own time, man. Listen, make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. Like this video. I just wanted to come do a quick stream, man. We do all types of content. We do sports, Knicks. We do Knicks. We don't do sports. We do New York Knicks. We do like anime and manga stuff sometimes. One Piece mainly. I'm gonna get into some Kingdom stuff. We do hip hop commentary, videos like this. We just react to the internet here and there. So make sure you subscribe, man. Hit the notification bell, man. Thanks for spending this time with me, man. Be safe. Have a